A few weeks ago, we covered Jojo Siwa, and if you're not familiar, Jojo Siwa has been a prominent figure in the entertainment industry from a very young age. Rising to stardom through her participation in Dance Mums, Jojo quickly became a household name. She's known for her vibrant personality and her signature dance moves. Her transition to YouTube cemented her as an internet sensation, allowing her to amass a fortune of millions before the age of 17. However, as Jojo Siwa approaches adulthood, her attempts to shed her childlike image and to rebrand herself have been quite the spectacle. Her efforts to rebrand herself as a more adult creator has been met with some controversy, and all of this rebranding has seen her adopt behaviors that starkly contrast her previous image and her personality. So this has led to a very polarized perception from her former audience and the wider audience as a whole, and also raising a lot of questions about how these pressures have molded her in the limelight. But most recently, we've seen a bunch of strange antics on stage, whether that be drinking from a fake bottle of alcohol, taking sips of Fireball on stage, and really causing this split and really trying to usher out and alienate her child fans. So without further ado, let's just jump onto TikTok and see what's going on in the world of Jojo Siwa.
Did you all hear the one about Jojo Siwa stopping her New York City show to yell at a fan who dared to boo her?
Who the living just booed me? Where the did that come from? Which one of you?
Wow, this is no way to handle being heckled at a show when you could easily just ignore it, and I feel like it almost shows cracks in your armor when you've been chipped by something as minor as this. You already know that whoever's booing is sort of pathetic in a way. There's no need to openly call it out because it just reflects poorly on you, you know what I mean?
Which one of you? Respectfully? You.
Wow, that was some kind of ego display there. And look how she's looking at them like, yeah. You booed me. You dared to boo me. And look, there were a lot of people there.
Here we see, as much as Jojo Siwa likes to say that the hate doesn't get to her and F the haters and all this kind of stuff, when you're immediately calling out someone that's just booing you on stage and pausing the whole show, it kind of counteracts that kind of sentiment, you know what I mean?
I opened my TikTok and people ask me the same question. They say, what the are you? And they say a lot of to me. They say you should act your age. Started doing that and they still hate me. They say, write your own songs.
The crowd's like, yeah, no, you don't have to write your own songs, boo to them. In my opinion, I do think it is more beneficial, and I feel like there is more merit to writing and singing your own songs, you know what I mean? And Jojo Siwa being offended by people calling her out on that, or even giving it attention, just shows that perhaps maybe her attention should be diverted to getting better at making music. I don't know, that's just my opinion. Yo, what is up guys? If you're enjoying this video, please be sure to like, comment and subscribe. Thank you so much for the support recently, I really do appreciate it. But enough yapping, let's get right back into the video, shall we?
Not even you singing. And you know what I say to those f***ers? I tell them to hold the mother drama.
Well, we're holding it, alright. We're the ones making videos on it, and we're the ones giving you the attention you want, Jojo Siwa, so enjoy. And that's unfortunate. It is unfortunate that she's had to deal with this kind of hate and deal with this kind of criticism since a very young age. And again, it does raise questions about being in the industry at 12 years old and younger. And I just think this is not the example that should be set for younger people that want to get into the industry, and especially since Jojo Siwa already cultivated that young demographic. I believe that she should be setting a better example and not trying to lean into all these adult stereotypes and drinking on stage and faking it, really. I just don't think it works. I think it should be a more natural progression into something more raw and personal, and these songs should have a more raw and personal touch and not be so industry manufactured and so pristine and so off in a way. And what I mean by that is they're so crisp and they're already so pre-packaged that you can tell that it's not just Jojo Siwa making all these decisions, it's the machine behind her that are just trying to siphon off money from Jojo Siwa's talents.
Write your own songs! That's not even you singing! That Emeline song is amazing! And you know what I said to those fuckers? I tell them to hold the motherfucking drama!
So let's analyze the talking points. They say, write your own songs. No, they say, don't act like you wrote your own songs if you didn't. They say, that's not even you singing. Well, that's because you're playing it at your concert and it isn't you singing. Didn't JoJo say that some of her tracks didn't even have her voice on it yet? Well, girl, what have you been doing for the past 2 years? They say that Emeline song is amazing. Well, it is. It's a great song. And JoJo, you're going to have a big hit with it. And you did finally credit her, but it didn't come easily. That tooth took a lot of tugging. And then for her sizzling finale, she tells they, them, whoever they are, to, quote, hold the drama. Her kitty song. And it's not even Boomerang, the kitty song that she sang at the concert. She should have said, you know what I say to them? I'm gonna come back like a boomerang, and then sang Boomerang.
Yeah, it seems like Jojo Siwa is being completely mismanaged in a sense, or she's just surrounded by a bunch of yes men. But I genuinely do believe that there's so much back-end stuff, especially with the packaging of the Emeline song, that perhaps people are sort of telling her that this is okay and it's okay to repackage these songs and it's okay to do all this kind of stuff. And then Jojo Siwa releases this music thinking that it's just industry standard. And then you have people that are just clearly not okay with it. And people don't really want to see pre-packaged songs written by other people out of your debut. I know that it almost is industry standard to have songs written for you, but to this kind of degree, I feel like it's just way too obvious and it's way too far from who Jojo Siwa actually is, and it's almost discomforting to the listener or to the audience themselves. I'm sorry. Like, if you don't know, Fireball, it's not that harsh of a drink. It's actually quite sweet. It's actually, it's actually almost enjoyable, to be honest. And it's like one of the cheapest sort of shots that you can get usually at clubs and stuff. And to have Jojo Siwa sort of be like, oh no, what am I about to do? It is quite funny. Oh man, I don't think it warrants that kind of reaction, but let's just continue watching. Yeah, it's definitely a complete overreaction for sure. Like a quarter sip of Fireball. To be honest, it probably makes your vocal cords feel quite warm and probably prepare you for that, to be fair.
Or was it heavenly?
But again, it just seems like such a stark attempt to be like, I've grown up now. Look, I'm drinking alcohol on stage. Look at me. Oh, all these kids, you shouldn't be here. It's like, look, I'm so different. I'm so different. It must be almost like whiplash for her previous audience to see what Jojo Siwa is trying to become and trying to act like they are. If Jojo Siwa starts to think that this kind of stuff is okay, and if their management is saying like, oh yeah, you should drink on stage and stuff, I can only imagine that kind of having a bad effect in Jojo Siwa's personal life, where you might have her sitting in a sort of dressing room or sitting in their apartment and like looking at that whiskey bottle and thinking, yeah, that's fine, let me actually do it for real and just become a pure alcoholic, which is what no one wants, to be honest. I don't condone drinking alcohol on stage in front of a bunch of young fans or just doing it for the sake of image. I know that Matty Healy from the 1975, he's renowned for doing it, but that's been a part of their brand image the whole time, you know what I mean? And their music is more catered towards edgier and a much wider age range than Jojo Siwa ever has been.
Y'all, for like 14 years of my life, I performed in front of 6-year-olds. And they were way fucking louder than this.
I think that's a good example of crowd control, you know, get the crowd going, inoffensive, you know what I mean? And it gives some backstory and it helps the audience resonate with Jojo Siwa on stage here. You know, fair enough. I can't knock it.
Pittsburgh Pride, I said, how the fuck are we? Every day I still get fucking asked, Jojo, have you learned nothing?
And that's what that other lady in the TikTok kept saying and stuff. And it's very interesting to know that Jojo Siwa keeps tabs on all these TikTokers and stuff and still comes from the position that she doesn't let the hate get to her. I am really intrigued as to where Jojo Siwa will be in 5 years. I'm really intrigued to see where her sound evolves to, and I really hope to get more of a personal touch from Jojo Siwa's music and like to hear more raw vocals and maybe a more stripped back version, maybe some acoustic versions. I would much prefer to hear that than again like the pop industry machine package stuff that we're hearing now.
No, I haven't. Only if you do it with me. Ready? Goes, I'll write it down 1,000 times. Hope it's.
Okay, it's cool, you know, doing the signature move there. A lot of people have problems with this kind of move or whatever Jojo Siwa was doing, but I know for a fact that I wouldn't be able to do that. So I can only give praise and give props where it's due for these dance moves, because I know that I could never be able to replicate that in any kind of way.
My story is, people shit on that when I do it. I don't really care about what they say.
A fair play to it, you know, the choreography's there, the entertainment value's there, and I believe that Boomerang is an old song of Jojo Siwa's, so bringing that back and another FU to the haters, I've got to respect it in some capacity.
The X on my podcast, honestly, I said that and I was kind of going down the press line, just answering things very quick. Honestly, at first I was like, oh, someone knows I have a podcast. Like, I was stoked about that. And then I just couldn't think of a dream guest fast enough. And so I said my ex or any of my exes.
It's a good answer.
But then I really thought about it and I was like, nah, actually, I don't want any of my exes. Like,
It's very nice to see this side of Jojo Siwa. All I've seen of Jojo is this sort of over-the-top image that she likes to project, and then also this whole shtick of that she doesn't care about the haters and stuff. Seeing this more down-to-earth Jojo Siwa and this more honest and open and vulnerable Jojo Siwa, I wouldn't even say vulnerable, but just a more chill, down-to-earth version of Jojo. I think this is the adult image that Jojo Siwa is searching for in all of these acts of doing fireballs and all this kind of stuff and trying to figure out what it means to be an adult. It's more just being chill and being level-headed like this.
to be honest, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Like, do I hug you when you get to my house?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
yeah.
Everything leading up to it.
Also, like, we're filming in the bedroom that, like, we slept in together.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is awkward.
A bit too much information there. But let's go down and look at the comments. Can't let gang know I F with this version of Jojo Siwa. Why can't she act like this all the time? And I agree, I feel like more down-to-earth stuff like this is probably the step in the right direction that Jojo should be making. And since our last upload, Jojo Siwa has actually done a sound exchange interview where a lot of this stuff is supposedly addressed. So let's just go through this and give this our thoughts.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming.
Oh my god, of course. Thank you for having me.
I would love to talk a little bit about your brand. I feel like you're...
I have a brand? I feel like now I have two.
You do.
I feel like I got old me and new me.
I have a brand? Yeah. No, you definitely have a brand, Jojo Siwa. You definitely have a brand.
Almost 180. You're evolving. Your
Totally.
career is shifting. How did you go about kind of the direction in which your brand is now changing
Yeah.
when you approach a rebrand? Like, what are some things that you can
Yeah. The thing for me is I have always just wanted to entertain. And I always wanted to do what I always want to do. It's not even wanted. I still do want to do what I think people are going to turn their head at, maybe cock their head at, maybe be like, what the is she doing? You know what I mean? I've always wanted that to be that is my brand. You know what I mean? My brand, people think, okay, this is a better way to explain it.
Already, I'm seeing some kind of flaws in this. I genuinely think if you're going to create a brand, it shouldn't be based on just trying to get a reaction and just trying to get people to cock their head as per se. I think it should be more about communicating exactly who you are and your inmost personality and sort of letting people resonate with that rather than using a lot of cheap tactics to try and garner attention. Because like Jojo said, she saw what used to work, whether it be like eating candy or slime or all this kind of stuff, and then she just kept doing that. And eventually, if you keep doing that kind of stuff, then you'll lose yourself in the process.
Growing up in the spotlight, how did you manage the pressures that came with it early on?
Honestly, I didn't realize them. I didn't realize how different my childhood was while I was in my childhood. I didn't realize it till now. I look at 14 or 15-year-olds and I'm like, whoa. I look at 16-year-olds and I'm like, that's how old I was on Dream the Tour. That's how old I was when I was in charge of 60 people on a world tour. Like, that's crazy to me.
It's almost quite sad, like you don't get time to grow up in a normal environment. You're already managing people and supposedly managing 60 people at the age of 16. And I can only assume that you've got a bunch of people talking in your ear, telling you to do this, telling you to do that, saying that you should try doing this more. And then they've only got money in their mind and thinking about how they can sort of use this to put money in their pockets and how they can use your attention grabbing abilities to siphon off something into their pockets. And I can only imagine how split that must make you in your mind. You know what I mean?
Even now, I mean, I'm not living a normal 20-year-old's life. I definitely have my quirks of my life, but I think I'm kind of lucky because it is all that I know. I have a lot of friends in the industry, and a lot of them, you know, gained fame very quickly and overnight at an old enough age to comprehend what's happening. But for me, you know, I was 9. It's been a very slow growth and a very steady growth. You know, I've never necessarily peaked or spiked and then came down from it. Whereas I think a lot of people get that very quick overnight success. Charli D'Amelio is a phenomenal example. She was 15 years old, lived her whole life. Then all of a sudden overnight, she was the biggest thing in the world. And for a 15-year-old, that's really hard to figure out then how to deal with and navigate. But for me, I mean, it was kind of all that I know.
That's very interesting that Jojo Siwa sees it as a positive, where it's like, yeah, at the end of the day, it's all she's known. So that meteoric rise to fame and that massive spike may have not have hit her as hard as it would hit someone who was never in the industry and then found that fame. Here, it seems like she's counting her blessings, which I can only admire here, you know, looking on the bright side of life at the end of the day. And I guess perhaps maybe it has served her in being able to do what she wants to do within the industry.
You started your career on Dance Moms. Looking back, how do you feel like that experience shaped you as a person, but also a performer?
Honestly, I accredit pretty much all of my personality to Dance Moms. I think it really shaped my ability to learn how to stand up for myself, learn how to stand up for what's right, learn how to fight for what I want, fight for what's right, fight for others, stand up for others, stand up for what's right. It taught me how to take anything that you need to, you know what I mean? It taught me how to sink or swim. It taught me a lot.
I wish we got more of a definition of what Jojo Siwa considers what's right and what's wrong. It does seem like there is an essence of PR training that is coursing its way through this interview. I won't lie. It seems like a lot of these answers have been pre-prepared, or the fact that Jojo Siwa has been in the industry for a very long time, just knows what to say and what not to say.
And that for me is like, now in the music industry, I'm not competing against others my age. I'm not competing or trying to be better than anybody else. I'm just trying to compete with myself and push myself to be the best that I can be, because only I can do what I can do.
You were signed with Nickelodeon for quite a bit.
I was.
Did you watch Quiet on Set?
I actually didn't. I've heard a lot about it, but I have not watched it yet.
I feel like it talked a lot about just the treatment of child actors.
Totally.
Or just stars in general in the industry.
Totally.
In terms of just like being a child star in the industry, what are some of the challenges you feel like you faced?
It's interesting because hearing about that documentary and just hearing a lot of child star stories, of course, my childhood came with its hardships. I mean, as anybody's childhood does. But looking at my childhood and growing up in the industry, I realized what a damn good mom I have, because she protected me from everything and everyone she needed to.
Well, that's kind of reassuring to know that Jojo Siwa being amongst Nickelodeon and all this kind of stuff didn't really tarnish her mental well-being, and Jojo Siwa had a good mum around her to protect her from all of the bad goings on that are rumoured to be happening around that kind of sphere. And I can probably see why Jojo Siwa probably wouldn't want to watch that documentary. I'm sure it probably would bring up some kind of things that perhaps Jojo Siwa doesn't need in their life right now, and just wants to focus on, as she said, being the best version of herself.
I had a good team around me that knew, but especially at Nickelodeon when I first started, the team over there protected me against people that they needed to, and they had my back over there. But then as I got older and the team switched over, that's kind of when everything went to shit for me at Nickelodeon, but I was older, so it was okay. So my mom was really my ride or die, with me every day, and she, even I don't mess with that girl. She's terrifying, and so no one messed with her. I remember one time there was an open bar on set that I did. I was maybe 13, and it was a Nickelodeon branded shoot, so it was a brand deal, but through Nickelodeon, and there was an open bar on the set, and my mom said absolutely not and ripped me off the set. And I didn't understand at the age. I was like, Mom, what the heck? Like, no, now that director's not gonna like me. And she was like, that director is drinking, and that lighting operator is drinking. If that light falls on your head, you know what happens to you? And I was like, oh yeah, you're right. Like, my mom had her shit together so much. And yeah.
And that kind of thing definitely sounds invaluable, and having someone care for you in that kind of way and be so aware of all of these potential industry mishaps, that must have been so beneficial. But then again, it also seems like as a result of that, Jojo Siwa has sort of become overprotected in a way, and almost so sheltered that this is why we're getting the version of Jojo Siwa that we're getting now. One that wants to rebel, and one that wants to completely show that they're nothing like their child counterpart. And now they're completely different, and now they can drink on stage, and now they can say F you to the haters and all this kind of stuff, and sort of pull a Miley Cyrus, but in a much more breakneck and unnatural fashion.
Yeah, my hardships were nowhere near what other child stars have had to go through.
In terms of like navigating the music industry from like a young age, what have been some of the lessons that you've learned?
The biggest lesson that I've learned is at the end of the day, it is my career and my life that a lot of people are working on. But it goes back to, no matter how many people work on it, no matter how many opinions people have, it is my career. We call it when I'm on tour, the credential card. And it's whoever's face is on the credential has the final say. And that's because if something's going one way and I say, I don't want to do the show tonight, if that's how it's going to be, then, well, no one can do the show. We can do the show without anybody else, but we can't do it without me. You know what I mean? And
so it's very interesting. We also get confirmation that Jojo Siwa said it herself. There are lots of people involved in her career, which is, again, why we might be getting this unnatural, pre-packaged product that just doesn't sit right with the audience that she's trying to resonate with, because there's just too many cooks in the kitchen spoiling the broth.
The whole team at Nickelodeon was amazing, truly. And my career with them was amazing. The decisions we made together were amazing. It was awesome. I listened to them. I did what they wanted. I did what I wanted. They did what I wanted. I did what they wanted. It was very mutual. And then they left. And I was still there. Same company. Me, myself, my name, my image, my brand, my videos. It was still me, and I was still there, but there was a whole new team. And I realized that I am the only human in this world that is stuck with Jojo Siwa. Everybody else at some point in their life either goes home, thinks about someone else or something else, or changes something, or retires. I don't ever get to do that. And so I have to make sure that every move I make, every play I play, every pitch I throw is something that I am truly happy with at the end of the day. And, you know, of course I have an incredible team that I want to listen to and take advice from. but at the end of the day, I'm the only one that has to live with it. And so I've learned if I don't like it, I ain't doing it. And it took me two things to do that I didn't like. Two things that I was like, all right, you know what, screw it, I'll just do it. It's fine, I'll put my head down and I'll just do it. And I still regret them to this day. And I was 12 for one of them and 14 for the other. And I was like, I'm never doing that again.
As much as Jojo Siwa thinks that they have complete control and the final say-so on anything that happens, I think people in the industry are very good at manipulating and guiding things in certain directions and making suggestions that at the end of the day will seep in and will affect that honest perception that Jojo Siwa is trying to garner. I think there's no way that you can have that independent feel when you're surrounded by this many people and this many managers that are involved with your brand.
I don't want kids to be watching my videos from back in the day, because it's the internet. They're all still out there and come across my stuff now. And while it is the internet and some of that is inevitable and kids might be on their For You page and something might come up, I feel like now I look different enough that kids won't even realize that it's the same me. You know what I mean? It's that's Jojo Siwa and this is Jojo Siwa. But I feel like when we were about to release music, it was very, very important to me that Karma didn't go on the same Spotify that Kid and Candy Store was on, because there are still little kids that are either A, listening to my stuff or just discovering my stuff, and I don't want them to hear what they're not supposed to yet. Now, they can search Jojo Siwa, they can find whatever they find, but
I think, unfortunately, the kids that you don't want to hear your music, they will be hearing your music and what you don't want them to hear. Again, making this massive change at breakneck speed and again promoting alcohol and trying to present yourself as this icon of adulthood probably isn't the best thing for those younger fans that you don't want to see you do this kind of stuff.
But then there's also, I got a call, I've over the years done so much with Make-A-Wish, and the other day they called my team and they said there was about 8 kids that they have been working with that want me as their Make-A-Wish. And I asked them, I was like, can you tell me what ages these kids are so that way I know, if it's a 16-year-old or a 6-year-old, it's a little bit of a different what their wish is, who their wish is to hang out with, and they were like, all of them are 6 and younger. And I was like, okay, we are gonna put a bow in our hair, we are gonna go and we're gonna hang out, we're gonna go get ice cream, and we're gonna make slime together, and we're gonna have a great day, because, especially in that situation, like I want those kids to feel extra special and extra good and meet the JoJo that they want to meet. You know what I mean? Even though at this point now, doing that, I would be playing a character, it's for kids. Like I want to, kids are my favorite thing ever.
I think that's an interesting insight to get, to see that Jojo Siwa understands that there is still that image that lingers in certain children's minds, and to be able to present that to them and sort of make that separation in the moment can be seen as a good thing. And I think I just want to end it on that positive note there. There are good things that have come out of this, but I guess my only advice for Jojo Siwa is just take it a little bit slower. Just take it a bit slower. You don't have to sort of go all out to prove that you're completely different, prove that you've changed in this kind of way. Just make it natural, be natural, and take it as a slower progression. Just be more vulnerable and more raw in this kind of stuff, because this is the type of JoJo that I'm sure all age ranges want to see. So yeah, guys, if you've enjoyed this video, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you're new. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.